help us do here. We need to support our current students so they can earn their degrees, so they can leave Mills with the degree they came here to earn. Many of them will be able to do that with support around an accelerated pathway. And that's the kind of thing that, that we could use support to help.
Excellent. And I'll just add to earlier today, VG Nakakama from the AAMC, she and I met with staff over at the Office of Admissions, and they still do want alumni to be involved. And it might not look the same as you've been involved with that office in the past, but they are still recruiting students and love to be able to connect alumni to students to hear more about the Mills experience, what to expect at Mills. And especially now as students who are incoming to Mills, you know, will likely be here for 2 years. If you were a transfer student who came into Mills partway through your education, or if you transferred out to go to another institution, and if you're interested in talking to students who might have that same experience, you know, we would love to have your help. I'll drop the email address in the chat for Diana Martinez, who over in the Office of Admissions is the person to contact. But there are still ways for you to be involved in those efforts. And unfortunately, you know, college fairs aren't happening right now. Everything's digital, but do, you know, trust that they are going to all sorts of digital college fairs and meeting with counselors and staff, especially community colleges in the Bay Area. There's a lot of work being done there too. And we have agreements in place, but I'll drop Diana's email in the chat, and I encourage anyone who wants to be involved to reach out. So let's see, next question here. What transition options will exist for undergraduate students, especially for the class of 2024 and 2025?
So I think I talked a little bit about this, that we're working on individualized pathways for students depending on their program and depending on where they are, how advanced they are in terms of the number of credits that they've earned towards the degree in that particular program. Our admissions team, our enrollment management team has now turned towards that kind of intensive individualized support for our students, working with partners to build those pathways. Many students will be able to finish at Mills and some will not. There are other questions about the length of time. The length of time is based on the financial challenges that Mills faced and our requirement that we support our community. There's plenty of room to disagree on different paths forward. There's not room to disagree on Mills' financial state. Mills faces a situation that it has to reckon with in terms of its ability to continue to support its community. And that's the pathway that the board will consider as we work with our accreditors, who we also have to move together with to support our current students through their degree goals.
And how about for graduate students who are accepted to the fall 21 cohort? So
the same option. We'll develop transfer agreements with peer institutions. Some students will be able to finish at Mills. Some students will opt not to, will choose not to. We've actually had relatively few transfer students work to transfer so far, but we're going to work with everybody to see what the best outcome is for them so that we can support their goal. For those students to graduate, that's a success for Mills College.
Excellent. And you touched on this earlier too, but a question about Berkeley. What stage are negotiations with Berkeley currently in? Does the agreement include a full land acquisition? To what degree will Mills retain any independence going forward? What has UCB asked for at this point, and what have they indicated they are willing to consider?
We are in the early stages. We don't have lots of details yet. We do know they are not willing to consider a UC Mills proposal.
How long has this plan been in place? Referring to the conversations with Berkeley, I believe.
We've been working with Berkeley for years. Cyrus and Susan Mills founded Mills at the same time that Berkeley was being founded, when an independent college became the University of California, and they were contemporaries of the founders of the University of California. But Mills has been considering options with respect to, and Nicole, did you mean conversations with Berkeley or conversations about the Mills timeline in terms of degrees? But the Berkeley plan has honestly, to the extent it's a plan, I mean, it's an opportunity for Mills, it's an opportunity for Berkeley. And we've been pursuing that in earnest for the last year approximately, with conversations and exploratory discussions with faculty, with staff, with administrators. In terms of the decision around Mills finances and whether Mills could continue to grant degrees, that's been a long time coming, but honestly, the plan about what to do now is still being developed. As you know, we've opened the doors to what this process is before we have everything wrapped up in order to get community engagement and in order to support our current students, putting their needs at the top of our list so that they know what to expect moving forward. And that is a step that the board took after seeing the enrollment numbers for next year. So the Berkeley, a long time, the possibility for a long time, the current plan about Mills shifting away from being degree granting and towards becoming an institute to pursue elements of its mission in a different way. That's recent months.
And how can alumni help Mills in this period?
The best way to help us is to continue doing what you've long done. Support our students, support our faculty, ask questions. I can't possibly keep up with all the questions in the chat, so I realize you're doing that despite my not paying attention to all of it, and I'm sorry about that. There are lots of things that contribute to Mills' value in the world and Mills' mission and its impact, and what you do are at the top of the list of those things. I also need your help in designing a Mills Institute. You heard from Marilyn and Awan, two brilliant professors who love Mills, know lots about Mills, actually can pull together these ideas and help us build a creative Mills Institute. And we need to support our current students because they need your help more than ever.
Okay, and this next question, I promise I did not plant this one. It's a good one though, so thank you to the person who asked it. Should we continue making gifts to Mills? Why? For how long? And should we be encouraging others to do so?
Nicole, this is for you and your team and for our students who are relying on the resources that you and your team help us bring in. Mills needs you more than ever. Mills needs your support more than ever. We are facing a genuine crisis right now, and we need your support. We need your financial support. We need encouragement for our students to continue to complete their degrees. In the pandemic, this is an additional challenge on top of the pandemic, which has disrupted their educational plans as much as anything in their lifetimes. As we design and launch the Mills Institute, your ideas and your support will make a tremendous difference to the success of that vision.
So what do you or the college need or want from the AAMC now and in the future?
You know, relationships are what make things happen in the world, honestly. And we've had, since I've come to Mills, we've had a positive relationship with the AAMC. And I know our Office of Institutional Advancement has really valued that. And I want a relationship. The Mills College needs a relationship with the AAMC where we can work together to help Mills continue to sustain its mission, albeit in a different way, and to support our current students, staff, faculty, community, and alumni as we actually work through this transition together.
So why was the choice to make Mills co-ed not pursued?
So many of you would have many answers to what we ought to do around that. And I've talked to, unlike what I said about Mills' financial reality is a reality. It's simply a fact. It is the truth. There's no real opinions related to that. But the question about whether Mills should shift its admissions practices with respect to the gender of undergraduate applicants, that is something on which people have many opinions. For me personally, I have not thought since I came to Mills that actually opening undergraduate admission to all genders would have resolved Mills' challenges because of the structural changes across higher education, because of Mills' mission, and because of the specifically the enrollment challenges of other all-gender small colleges. So that's why we haven't done that in recent years. You all can tell me more about why that has or hasn't happened in the past.
Great. And now some questions about the transition. How will staff and faculty be supported during the transition?
So our goal in this is to get the best possible outcomes in terms of employment and opportunities for our staff and faculty. I can tell you that many staff and faculty are dramatically expanding their skill sets right now because all of us are still doing our regular jobs. They're suddenly doing a bunch of different jobs and are dealing with more complex communications challenges than any of us had dealt with before. So our staff and faculty are worth the investment that we're making by taking this step now before there's a dramatic action that would not allow us to build those pathways. So we intend to continue to support our faculty and staff through this transition, to build new employment opportunities through potential partners, and to continue to consult them and support their professional development throughout this transition.
And quite a few people ask this question. How will this transition affect my degree, and how will we access transcripts?
Every graduate of Mills received their degree from an accredited college. That will never change. And your accomplishment will always be there. The education that you received and the credential that you earned, the perceived value of your degree, it's all still there. Our accreditation is in good shape, actually. That's one reason we're in good shape moving forward, actually. Our compliance, it's all in good shape. We're in a positive place there. And the high level of academic offerings that Mills offers was validated in a recent accreditation cycle. Current students and alumni who attended Mills in 2000 or later can print an an unofficial transcript at any time, you can use the resource portal. I'm sure our alumni relations team can help you with that if you don't know how to do it. You also can get unofficial or official transcripts through Mills or through a transcript clearinghouse. For official transcripts, we've authorized this clearinghouse, the National Student Clearinghouse, to accept online orders for official transcript. This is in place now, and it will not change. Even if there's whatever changes there are at Mills in the future, that won't change.
Great. What actions can and will be done to ensure that Mills alums are able to connect with each other during and after this transition?
So our team in advancement wants to make that possible. I know the AAMC does too, and we'll continue to support ways for alums to connect to each other. That is something that we anticipate is of concern for us as we consider what will sustain Mills' mission into the future. And we fully expect to have those conversations with alums and with others about the design of the Mills Institute when that time is right. We want to offer the same high level of engagement. We also see student success as a central goal of the Mills Institute. That is what Marilyn described, improving the equity and educational outcomes for populations that have been underserved by higher education as currently constructed. We fully expect that alums would be able to continue to connect with students potentially through activities of the Institute, and we look forward to more conversations as we figure that out.
Excellent. So I'm going to give you a break for a sec because this next question I'll answer. It's about reunion, which I think everyone knows how much I love. What will Mills reunions look like going forward? So we are definitely committed to continuing to work with alumni, to work with the AAMC, to find ways to have reunion and other events on campus to keep you all connected. We know how important that is, and it's important to us too. So the plan for Reunion 2021, which is coming up in the fall, is as we've already kind of described. We're setting forward with a hybrid model where we are bringing back a limited number of alums because based on our current restrictions for our county and the campus, we can't invite everyone back, unfortunately. And as much as we want to, it killed us to not have a reunion last year. We look forward to it every year and just power through to make it happen. So this year we're planning a hybrid model. So we're bringing back or inviting back the classes celebrating their 50th and bringing also back the class from last year. So class of 1970, 1971, are invited to come to campus, as well as the 25th reunion, which is another big milestone. So the class of 95 and the class of 1996. And so there'll be kind of a limited options for campus events, but we do hope to have the class dinners and other ways for you all to engage with the campus, some tours of some important spaces, visits to the art museum. And then we're also planning a slew of events to be hosted online, just like we have this one. So we'll have some virtual events for anyone, even if you're not celebrating a reunion, you're welcome to attend those. And as we get closer to September and as restrictions are hopefully lifted and the campus restrictions are lifted, we will definitely be inviting more alums back to campus. We want to make that happen, but we just have to be careful in our planning. But we have all sorts of different plans and operations sketched out to see, what that would look like. And as soon as restrictions are lifted, we will do our best to make it happen. And I think Chelsea was just telling me today that even Gavin Newsom was saying that restrictions are going to be lifted in June and only down to wearing masks. So fingers crossed. And at that point, if that happens, we'll shift and let everyone know. But save the date will go out next week. So please keep an eye out on that. But then also there's other ways to stay connected and engage with the campus. You'll see we've been sending out more opportunities for virtual events with faculty. There's a great conference happening just this week being run by the Center for Transformative Action. It is free and they have over 70 presenters, many of whom are alums, and I would really encourage you to attend that event. I'll put a link to it in the chat so you can go check it out later. And then we also are doing other virtual events to celebrate students, like the Phenomenal Women of Color event, which is coming up next week. And there are some other really great events as well. So I'll include a link to our event page in the chat too. All right, Beth, let me see. Yep, hard questions, back to you. So how will you protect the land and the buildings? What will happen to the art museum, the library, the residence halls, and the many other important buildings and spaces on campus?
Because Mills is continuing its academic functions through at least the spring of 2023, we expect these resources will continue to be utilized by our community and in support of our mission. As we engage in discussions with potential partners, we'll work to preserve mission-aligned uses of the campus facilities that a Mills Institute wouldn't use potentially. So we'll keep our community apprised and our partners across Oakland as well informed as these plans evolve. and as details emerge.
Excellent. And let's see, will the pool remain open to the Greater Mills community?
We look forward to reopening the pool as Alameda County has turned orange, but actually it's not going to be orange anymore. That's changing again. So the colors are going away, but we are working to get the pool open to the community. And I have heard those of you who are anxious for that to happen.
Let me see here. How will the decision to transition to an institute or integrate with Berkeley impact Star King School for the Ministry, which has now made the Mills campus its home?
So we've been in conversation with all of our campus partners during Mills transition, and we'll share more as Mills College's plans evolve and as their own plans evolve too.
All right, Marilyn and Awan, I have a few questions for you about the Institute. What definitive subjects or skills do you plan to offer to someone attending a Mills Institute? Will students be qualified for graduate school?
I think that it's important to remember the process that we've set up. The Institute hasn't been defined yet. We have governing goals. We have a sense of how we do want to continue the Mills mission, but we really want to plan this together. And I really want to make a plea with you to help us think this through, to help us define this as the Mills Institute. There are a lot of institutes in this country. Some of them can serve as models. We're looking at a lot of them, but we can really create something new. I think what is important to remember again is that the pandemic has made clear what was happening all along, but that we didn't see as clearly, which is that our current institutional structures aren't working. When they're working, they're not working well. They're not working well enough toward achieving equity in higher education, for example. That's why it's exciting to be able to think about creating a new structure, a new kind of institute that can serve students, that can serve the growth of knowledge, that can continue Mills values. So I know it's awfully hard. I'm grieving the loss of the Mills College that I knew all those years ago. But I also think that we can move forward and do something very positive and very forward-looking if we only work together. So please have patience and have imagination. Give us some ideas.
So as an institution, will Mills focus on solely serving women and girls, or is there an opportunity for males to also benefit from the institution and its mission? Will the Institute have a specific space, course, or admissions for Black women?
I think that's a great question. I think all of those are great questions. And I do want to emphasize what Marilyn was just mentioning, that we're engaging in a process that involves the Mills community. So when we have our sit downs, our hour-long sessions with different constituencies, we're going to be taking extensive notes. We're also looking to other models, some models that call themselves institutes, some that do not, that will enable us to best serve our mission. There are many institutes at many institutions, not all of them, and I would dare say most of them do not necessarily serve the specifics of what we were just speaking of, gender and racial justice and women's leadership. However we forge ahead, those are core values of the institution.
And you touched on this a little bit, but what is the timeline and what will the Mills College to Mills Institute change process look like?
Is that one for me, Nicole?
Yeah. Whoever wants to chime in.
Go ahead, Marilyn. You want to take this one?
Well, there are going to be several steps along the way. We're going to do a lot of deep thinking with small groups of people representing all of the aspects of the Mills community over the next month and a half. We hope to have a definition of a mission and at least the scaffolding of programming for the first iteration of the Institute by the end of May. And it's so important that you send in your ideas, that you help us think this through and think of what it can accomplish going forward.
Great. And last question about the Institute. Will the tradition of service, which has been such an important part of women's education, be continued?
And I will respond to that. Community engagement has been an integral part of Mills, certainly in the 20 years that I've been here, and has been a long time part of Mills and the way that it engages its students and Oakland. We are interested in working with you to develop an institute that reflects the values and the priorities and the way that Mills has been in the world for its students and for the surrounding community. And so, although, we're engaging in a process, we want to build this with the Mills community. We certainly recognize that community engagement, also, service, another way of saying that in many respects, is an integral part of how Mills has defined itself and has been a core part of Mills' experience.